Wow. Okay. Jane and I had a long talk this morning on stage, and we thought we'd devote time now. We don't have a lot of time, but to any questions from the audience and a chance to have some conversation there. So, right here, yeah.
Is it on? It's not on. Just talk. Is it possible, in your experience, for a woman to be beautiful and happy without the protection of a man or the money that would allow that protection?
Can a woman be happy without the protection of a man?
Happy and beautiful.
Happy and beautiful.
And or the money that it would take to protect yourself.
Say that again.
So without a man or the money that it would take to protect yourself, I guess as an alternative to a man, but or both, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Yes, a woman could be beautiful and be okay without a man. Dolly did it. Well, Dolly had a man, but most of the time she was traveling by herself. Yeah, people can, yes. Obviously, you don't agree with that.
Oh, just the film is just bringing up a lot of issues around the dangers of a woman being beautiful out in the world. Or it did for me, I should say.
Yeah.
But that wasn't your experience playing that part.
I think that a woman can be beautiful and be safe without a man. Some can't, but it's possible, yeah. We have to make sure that it becomes more possible, right? Fight to make that true. Thank you.
You prepared for this film by meeting and...
I was just remembering, I left France where I lived and had my family, moved back to the United States to become an activist, and then drove across country to start filming Klute. So this was like right at the beginning of my activism, and I must have gotten arrested crossing the United States 7 or 8 times.
Sure.
Doing things like distributing the Universal Code of Military Justice on military bases. They arrested me for that. Anyway. So that was all inside me when I got to New York, and I asked the director, Alan Pakula, I had asked him prior to, I said, arrange for me to spend time with call girls and madams, and I did. I spent about 10 days with call girls and madams. Boy, did I hear stories. I mean, I went with a call girl to her John's where they cut cocaine. I mean, I saw the underbelly of this. I went to their after clubs, where like at 3 in the morning they'd meet up with Johns. Not one moment, not once did any of those Johns wink at me or flirt with me or, try to, no man looked at me. And the women that I was with, there was one thing that they all had in common. They were dead. The eyes were dead. It was like their soul had been killed. And when this was over, I asked for a meeting with Alan Pakula. I said, Alan, I can't do it. I've spent time with these, I can't. I said, let me out of my contract and get Faye Dunaway. And he just laughed me out of his office. Okay. So I had a few days, and I had to start. I had to do it. And I remembered when I was married to my first husband. I'm not going to go into detail, but there was a woman in France called Madame Claude, and she was a famous, infamous, very successful madam with many, many, many girls in her stable. And I had met a good many of them. And you would never have known that they were call girls. They would fetch $10,000 a night. They would be on the arms of diplomats and politicians, and they were you would never know. And I became friends with them. What they all had in common, they had all been sexually abused as young girls. And that unlocked it for me. So I modeled her on them. You know, they all had other aspirations, acting, whatever, and that's the character that I created. That she had been sexually abused, and then all those things followed as a result. So that's what allowed me into the character, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, it's a powerful character to do. And a survivor. Yes, right back here.
It's not working.
Curious if this is more not your activism but your acting ability. Do you watch your films after they're made, either immediately or maybe years, decades later? And when you view them, if you do, how do you feel about your performance? Because I think it's so easy to be self-critical. And I look at every film I've seen you in, and you're magnificent. I doubt whether you go, oh, aren't I magnificent? I'm curious what your...
Well, I just saw, in honor of Bob Redford, they showed Turner Classic Movies. By the way, aren't we grateful for Turner Classic Movies? My first date with Ted Turner, one of the first things he said to me was, you know, I bought MGM. I said, yeah, I heard. And he said, I bought it for the library. Because he knew that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to start Turner. Yeah, he also, of course, said to me, you know, I didn't even have time to use the casting couch. He was so cute, I didn't even see that as a red flag. And actually, you know what he said right after that? This is so off topic, oh my God. Actually, the very first thing he said when I got into the car on our first date, I know a lot of communists. Gorbachev and Castro. He did, he knew them. They had a lot in common, actually. Girls and hunting ducks. Anyway, where was I?
Performances that you see of yourself. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. So it was honoring Bob Redford and at Turner Classic Movies. And so I saw the movie, and I thought I was really cute and funny. I mean, it's a wonderful movie.
Which movie are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, Barefoot in the Park. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
good. Yeah.
Barefoot in the Park. I moved around so much. You know, it's funny. You just forget how you were when you were young. So that's fun. It's lucky. You can see yourself. I like seeing, yeah, I do see. I don't like, it's hard to see yourself. It's not, my dad would never, ever, ever see himself. But I like to look at rushes because I learned. Rushes are, in the old days when we shot with film, you'd film, then you'd have to wait a day because they'd have to be sent to the studio to be developed, and then you'd have to have them sent back. And then everybody on the crew and everything would get together at night and drink a little wine and look at the dailies. My most famous looking at the dailies was in Barbarella. We were the first production to ever shoot someone flying in space with no wires. It was this metal rod that came out of a green screen that kind of turned. There was this crazy cross-eyed scientist out in the studio that would work the thing and turn it. And me and the blind angel had these metal corsets on, and we would fly. Okay. And his wings would move, and we'd be tipped here and there, and it had never been done. And so we saw the dailies. We were flying backwards. So it's good to see dailies. I like looking at dailies because I learn. But I like looking at Klute. Yeah. Some movies I don't like to watch. But you learn. Yes, mister, with your hand up.
You sing in this movie.
I do?
Can you tell us about your experience?
When I sing the hymn?
Yeah, did you choose the hymn, by the way?
What?
Did you choose the hymn?
You know, do you choose to
It was
hint
not
to
in the
sing?
script. All that was in the script was that she was lonely sitting at a table. And I pulled out a joint, it was not real, and smoked a joint, and I sing that hymn a lot. And I just sang it, and I never thought he'd keep it in the movie. Yeah, I just did. Yeah, and you know, I had him build the set of my apartment so that the toilet flushed and the sink worked, and I lived there. Not the whole time, but a bunch of the time. Several weeks I lived in that room. And, you know, then I had to figure out what books would she have there? What pictures on the refrigerator? I very carefully chose. It was a picture of Kennedy. I was one of the girls he would fly down when he was in the hospital. I don't mean me, Jane, I mean me, Bree Daniel.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, everything was very carefully chosen, and including my needing a cat
Yeah.
and eating the tuna fish. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question right back there, and then here, and then over there. Yeah.
I was just struck during that performance of when you reached your hand out and you held the jacket of Donald Sutherland. And to me, it seemed like it was a very childlike kind of gesture, but I'm wondering what you were thinking during that.
Are you talking about when we went shopping in the grocery
In the
store?
fruit market.
When
And
I
you
stole the apple?
Yeah, and you were following him, and you reached out and you put your hand onto his jacket and held onto it, and I felt like
I was so turned on. I just was really turned on and feeling really safe with him. And so I held onto his jacket and stole an orange. None of that was in the script. No, I got really deep into her. I didn't need it to be in the script. With the help of, you know, working with Alan Pakula was like a major dance. He was a great dance partner. We were just totally in sync. Yeah.
Yeah.
He died.
Right here.
I think for Jane, may I go because I've been waiting?
Okay.
I think you're great, Jane, and your acting was terrific.
Doesn't this sound like there's going to be a but?
But your activism was more than all of that. And if it wasn't for you in the Vietnam War, it would have not ended as soon. So you saved countless lives through that. And I wish you would get... I'm 2 years younger than you are, but anyway, I think you should get the Congressional Medal of Honor. I do, and I'm gonna.
Wouldn't that be a photo op? Trump leaning over me, trying to
Well, the orange degenerate is not going to give it to you. We're going to have to wait. But I just wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was your book, Prime Time, that you designed your own tombstone. And you put your name on the top, and you put the year that you were born, and a dash, and you left.
I left the date of my death off.
Yes. And
that
I
was
want to
smart
know,
of you.
how come you're so comfortable with dying?
Because it's a part of life. Like, darkness means nothing without light. Silence means nothing without noise. Life means nothing without death. And other more reasonable cultures know that. Mexico, come on, death, I'm ready. You know, there is no celebration or march or anything in Mexico that you don't see skeletons, the Day of the Dead. You know, they don't stupidly dress up in costumes and ask for candy. They go to the grave with cheese and wine and the family, and they get drunk and they toast and talk about the dead person. You know, they're not afraid of it. In Madagascar, every year they dig up a dead body and that's all wrapped in sheets, and they walk that body around town saying, that's the new building there. And look at that, we redid the bank and so on, and she died, and they bring them up to date and then put them back in the ground and do it again next year. I mean, there's different cultures approach death in a much healthier way. I found when I was 60, I thought, this is my last act. I have no idea how to live it. It's important, last acts. You know, we've all seen a play where the first 2 acts, like, what on earth did the playwright think? And then the third act comes around and makes sense of it all. That's what our third act should be like. I had no idea. So I did something really smart. I said, when I get on my deathbed, what am I gonna feel? And I knew, because I'm not scared of dying, what I'm really scared of is getting to the end with a lot of regrets when it's too late to do anything. And that dictates how you're gonna live your life. You know, I wanted to be sure my children were around me when I was dying. I better be sure they love me. So one assignment is between now and the end, I have to be sure my children love me and that they forgive me. And I don't know, I think it's important to envision how you want to be. None of us know how we're going to be. It doesn't matter. Imagine how you want it to be and then live to that in such a way that when you get to the end, it's not going to be all about, why didn't I? Oh God, I should have, you know? So that keeps, anyway. We have to embrace death. I just helped somebody die. It was beautiful. Not eating and drinking. It's called VSED, voluntarily stopping eating and drinking. My daughter helped me find a death doula. And it's people should be able to die when they want, the way they want. This is so far off of Klute.
One more question. One more question.
I guess I'll go. Thank you. I didn't want to ask this question after that profound answer you just gave, but how was it like working with Jean Stapleton in that scene? Did you get to connect with Jean Stapleton much?
I didn't know who she was. Isn't it wild? You don't know who somebody is, and then they become famous, and you see the movie again, and oh my God. You know, there was a girl that in the very beginning, when there's the line of models, and it pans down, and right next to me is, I had no idea, but she became famous in Hill Street Blues. You know, sitting there. Yeah.
I thought the scene where you, yes, the scene, getting back to Klute, when you teared up, and I remembered that the first time I saw this movie was so profound to watch you do that and to watch that snot fall out of your nose. It just is breathtaking, and you could feel the fear and the tension and the knowledge that she's going to die. It was great.
It was, thank you. It was a really interesting scene for me. I listen well on camera. It's something you have to learn to do. And so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna really relax and listen and not prepare anything. I had no preconception. I'm just gonna really listen to him. And I started listening to him. I started hearing the recording of her screaming. And earlier when we were making the film, there was a scene where I was going through mortuary files. And there were all those photographs of the women who'd been killed. And I really did do that and go to the police files. And so during this scene, when I'm hearing her, I thought of all the women who've been beaten and killed out of this misplaced anger of men. And I started to cry. That's what I was crying for. And I remember this is what, it's so weird to be an actor, because it's like half of you is one thing and half is the other. Half of me was absolutely Brie Daniels, and half of me was thinking, I'm becoming a feminist. I knew that I was crying for all those women. And this is the genius of Alan Pakula. He let the camera keep rolling. We only did one take, and he just let the camera roll. And then tears came out of my nose. It wasn't snot.
All right. Thank you very much, Jane.